Welcome back to another episode of Hillspring Marriage Matters. We're glad you're joining us, and gosh, thanks for watching the videos. We really hope and pray that they've been helpful to you. So anyway, we're going to continue our discussion through the book called His Needs, Her Needs.
So last week we got a few comments about the last episode regarding the 15 hours of time in communication with your spouse, and it might have seemed kind of daunting, but we did break it down to like it's more like 2.5 hours a day, which makes it a lot easier to think about. But I think we might have some good news for you today and how we can help fill that time.
Yeah, and I mean that's an important need for the wife. It's her second most important need in marriage. And so this week we're going to discuss the second most important need for husbands, which is recreational companionship. Husbands they crave someone to do stuff with, to be, kind of their activity partner, so recreational companionship.
So if you remember from last week, we talked about how guys will rarely call up another guy and say, hey, you want to grab some coffee? Guys will typically call up their friends and say, hey, you want to go golfing? Or hey, you want to go fishing? Or hey, you want to work on my car? That's where guys are more comfortable in having conversation, is when they are actively working on something or doing something together through recreation.
Yeah, and so that's kind of how guys roll. And so husbands bond over shared experiences, while wives bond over emotional connection. And so through shared experiences, husbands are more willing to open up and to talk, where wives are just more than comfortable to sit down and let's have a conversation.
So wives, you need to work to become your husband's go-to person for recreation. Just do stuff with him. Be willing to do stuff with him. It's in those moments that he'll be a lot more likely to be willing to open up to you.
Yeah, and so Lori is my go-to recreational companion. I'd much rather spend time with Lori golfing, hiking, boating, whatever the recreation is, than anyone else. And we've kind of found the things that we like to do. And so husbands, you need to be open and willing to try new things that your wife might enjoy or even excel at as well. Because if you're doing activities that you're super good at and she isn't, or she doesn't enjoy, then that's not going to be as meaningful to her. And so let me give you kind of an example. When we first got married, we moved into our first house. We had a log stove or a wood stove in our basement, and so I would go out and cut down trees and bring it back, and then we would split the wood. So I had a wood splitter, and we would work on that together, where we'd split the wood and we'd stack it. And during those times, we would have some good conversation. But over time, the gas fumes from the wood splitter bothered Lori. She got kind of nauseous, and so we quit doing that together. And so then we started finding other things that we enjoyed doing, and one of the things we enjoy is kind of home improvement projects. We work on those together. Unlike some couples that hanging wallpaper is a one-way road to divorce court. That's not us. We love doing things together. We like gardening together. Well, Lori gardens, and I just do all the landscaping and moving rocks around to create the gardens. But we do all that together, and we're a good team. I think our gardens look okay.
Well, as long as we're happy, right?
Right.
So recreation is really important, and it's important that you don't always have your recreation time with a bunch of friends. Now, it's okay to do that now and again, but this is recreational activity that it's just the two of you, because what we're trying to do is foster time together, time to be willing to open up to one another. And since men need more recreation to be able to feel more comfortable doing that, that's what we need to be about. And we need to be making sure that the recreation that we're choosing allows us to have that undivided time together and attention.
Yeah, and so look, this is all choices, right? Husbands, you may need, and just hold on for a second, you may need to maybe give up some activities that your wife doesn't enjoy or doesn't have an interest in. And that's okay. But these are all choices, and it's selfless choices. We talked in a couple of videos ago about, guys, we're commanded to love our wives as Christ loved the church. Christ sacrificed himself for the church. Sacrificing an activity to do something else that you're going to be with your wife is extremely meaningful, and it helps create that connection that your wife needs with you.
And wives, you do need to make a concerted effort to take authentic interest in something that interests your husband. Now, not everything that interests your husband is going to interest you, but what you might want to consider doing is taking each a piece of paper and writing down things that would interest you, things you might want to try, or things maybe you have tried and you really enjoy. And then you can switch your papers and see where you have overlapped interests, so that you can choose some new activities that you might want to try together.
Yeah, and so here's kind of the caution. If you have too much separation in the activities that you do. In other words, husbands, you guys, you do your thing and she does her thing, and you're spending a lot of time enjoying the things that you like to do, but you're separate. Over time, it will slowly erode the connection and the intimacy in your marriage. And so really be aware of this. If Lori is off doing her thing and I'm off doing my thing, then all of a sudden there's no shared commonality, with the exception of, well, we're married. So really pay attention to this, right? Be willing to choose to do things together.
So simply put, the couple that plays together stays together.
Yeah, and so here's some questions for you wives, right? Are you your husband's favorite recreational companion? And if not, why? Is it because you've never tried to engage in the activities that he enjoys? Because you've just kind of dismissed them? You should strive to be your husband's favorite recreational companion. So if you're not, why not? Number 2, are you reluctant to encourage your husband to maybe suspend some of his recreational activities until you become his favorite recreational companion? In other words, that until you've engaged in those activities, maybe he loves to golf, and maybe it just takes a little bit of time. Maybe the two of you can go to lessons together, even though he's really good already. But maybe have you encouraged him to say, hey, you know what, I'm really interested in this. Work with me to understand the activity and be at least average at it. And then finally, number 3, does your husband join in your favorite activities? Are you willing to suspend those activities that he doesn't find really enjoyable, so that maybe the two of you, and Lori kind of touched on this already, but the two of you can search for something that is more mutually enjoyable?
And questions for husband. Number 1, would you like your wife to be your favorite recreational companion? If not, why not? Number 2, do you value your leisure time? If so, would your wife joining you make it more relaxing or less relaxing? And figure out why. Really delve into some of these questions to find out why or why not they're not working. Number 3, does your wife join you in your favorite recreational activities? Are you willing to suspend those that she does not find enjoyable so that you can find something that you could enjoy mutually?
Yeah, and then here's some questions that you should talk about together. So as Lori said, write down a list of activities that each of you enjoy, and then compare that list. Where is there some commonality? Maybe write down a list of activities that you're not doing today, but boy, you've always thought about doing that. In fact, it was kind of interesting. Lori and I just, as we were preparing for this, we were talking about activities that, that we might want to consider. And there's activities that we really enjoy doing together. We enjoy hiking, we enjoy camping, we enjoy boating, there's a lot of things that we already do together that we both mutually enjoy, but what about adding to the list? Is there something else that you've been wanting to try? And Lori brought up ballroom dancing, and I don't know if it's because she's been watching Dancing with the Stars so much, and she thinks, gosh, Kurt could be as nimble as those guys, which probably not. But it's something that I think is worth trying. Let's go try it. Adventure is a wonderful thing.
Number 2, so for just 1 month, can you try a radical change and engage in an activity that you both enjoy? Just pay attention. What are the results once you've done that? Because it might be surprisingly enjoyable. Yeah,
and then finally, in kind of planning, how do we get to these 15 hours? In doing that, try to meet all 4 of the needs that we've discussed so far, and kind of figure out how you can intertwine them. Right? Is it an activity that I can be affectionate to Lori, like when we're hiking, just taking time, where we're stopping and looking at a view, where I can put my arms around her and we can enjoy that God's creation, that majestic view together. And so, is that something that lends itself to affection? The whole activity doesn't have to be filled with affection, but you get my point. Does the activity set you up for intimacy maybe later in the evening, where you've really been connected, you've shown affection, you've had good conversation, and that's going to lead to intimacy? Does the activity, does the environment of the activity set up for conversation? It's not like you have to be talking the whole time, but again, does it set up for conversation? And then finally, does it really provide that recreational companionship? Think about when you were dating, how often you guys would do something and it would have many of those 4 needs. Maybe it showed affection, maybe it lent itself to conversation, maybe it lent itself to recreational companionship, just because you were doing an activity. So think about those things.
And the good thing about that, sorry to interrupt, is that your 15 hours is going to have some other opportunities for fulfillment. Doesn't have to be 15 hours of just plain sitting down and having a conversation. This counts, the recreational activity, because if you're making it a recreational activity where you can actually have conversation, this counts towards that. So it makes it a little easier to meet that need.
Yeah, so thanks for watching. We really appreciate you guys. We're praying for your marriages, and if you have any questions or even a topic that you want us to consider, you can email us at Hillspring Marriage Matters, it's all one word, at gmail.com. And until next week,
remember, your marriage matters.